Hey, welcome to the old 77.
Hey, baby, it's a safe place.
Oh, hey, baby.
In an
unsafe world.
world. Halloween.
It's the Halloween edition, man. So nice. We got to break it up into two.
Yeah.
We're going to make 2 episodes out of the next one. This is the Halloween episode 180 and 181.
You're welcome. Dave's going to Mexico next week, so we had to improvise
And
things.
illness hit us last week, so if you're wondering why Greatest Hits came out, that's why.
That would be. Tell us about the illness real quick, Scott.
Oh, so everyone in my home was completely sick as a dog, man.
Did you ever figure out what y'all had?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
No.
What were your symptoms?
I had nothing. Still don't have anything.
Oh, so you were okay.
No, totally.
Everybody else, yeah. Okay.
Everybody else in the house was not feeling well.
Yeah.
They were all running little bits of fevers.
Yeah.
Nothing major, though, you know.
Yeah.
As a dad, I can say that now. Nothing major.
You didn't have to clean any shit
No, I
off
didn't have
the
to clean any crap or puke.
Good.
There was no projectiles, no nothing like that. So,
Okay, well, that's good.
you know,
Was there throwing
that
up?
was nice.
Was there throwing up involved, though?
I don't think so.
No?
I think a majority of it was just body ache, sleepiness, tiredness, a lot of restfulness at night, coughing, you know.
Yeah.
Just like a cold, man. It was like a normal cold.
My sister has COVID going through her whole house right now.
Ugh. I'm sorry. That sucks.
Yeah, I keep that's my biggest fear is I don't want to get sick right before I go on vacation. I don't want to be sick on vacation. I mean, I don't want to be sick at all, but I definitely don't want to be sick on vacation. And I'm hearing stories of people getting sick recently, so I'm a little paranoid about it.
You'll be all right.
Little paranoid about
I promise you'll be all right.
A couple sips of that Mexican tap water will take care of me, right? There's got to be some antibiotics in there somewhere.
Well, I will say this for you, my friend. I guarantee that if you take a couple of sips of that Mexican tap water, that there will be anything will be able to stick to your insides after you've done that.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
You don't know unless you try?
I think it will take every little nook and cranny and bend in your colon and smooth it out into one straight pipe.
So what you're saying is it's going to make me more efficient. I like where you're going with this, Scott.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. You're going to be more efficient.
Also, they told me don't drink the fountain sodas either, because that's all goes through the tap water.
Yeah, the water, I guess. Now if they have like an on-resort type thing, if it's filtered and stuff, I think you'd be all right.
Yeah.
But they should tell you that. Yeah. Elsewise, everything should be coming from a bottle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You'll be fine if everything comes from a bottle.
What about showering?
See, it's always been under my assumption that if you do that, like you open your eyes and stuff in the shower, you get sick too.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if the Mexicans have if they've built up a tolerance to
I'm sure
how
it is.
Nasty their water is.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. That's been like the number one thing that people have been warning me about.
Seriously, the water?
Yeah.
Don't drink the water. Don't drink the water.
Yeah.
Montezuma's revenge.
Yeah.
You know?
Somebody in my life that is a boss of mine, and I won't mention who this person is because I don't want him or her to get in trouble, told me that they took a trip to we think that that's the same resort that I'm going to.
Oh, for real?
And he got sick, or she got sick right as they were leaving. And so for like the first 3 days, this person was sick and decided that the best medicine was just alcohol. Like, you know what? I feel like shit anyway. Let me just drink and see if that makes it better.
Oh yeah, that just sounds.
And by the end of the day, he was
or she
he or she was looking at the tiles on the floor to try to keep him in a straight line. So this is a person that's entrusted with children too.
Yeah, so I'm glad you ain't saying anything then.
Yeah.
No names.
Hey, mommy and daddy got to have some fun every now and again too, right? And I'm not sure. I don't think that the children were with them at this particular event, so I don't think there was any bad parenting going on.
Right.
There's not going to be any children with me either, so
okay.
There's not going to be any bad parenting because there's not going to be any parenting going on.
I don't think there's such a thing as bad parenting.
Well, I guess it's all relative, right?
Right.
I mean,
if you can live through it, it's still good.
I guess so. If
our parents all traumatized the hell out of us.
You should get, points for being present, I suppose.
I guess. I don't think so, necessarily. I think you need to actually be involved, possibly, too.
I agree, too. Obviously.
I mean, I'm not, but.
So, let me ask you: Is the oldest one going to go trick or treating this year?
Yes.
Yeah. What's he going to be?
He wants to. So they're both going as the Demon Slayer, brother and sister.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Is this like an actual like character, or did they make it up?
No, this is characters from a anime.
Okay.
So it's an anime called Demon Slayer. Let me see if I can't. Let me see if I can pull it up here, Dave.
I can try too.
Yeah.
So it's from an anime, like a TV show.
Kinda, yeah. So it's Let me see. Oh, there we go. I don't know the characters' names, but I can tell you it's a brother and sister couple.
Okay.
This green outfit is what Jonah will be wearing.
Is it the green, like, plaid-looking outfit?
Let me slap this baby up here and see if I can't get something.
I keep seeing this guy with this, like, green, like, kind of plaid-looking green and black.
Yeah, it's kind of that.
That must be the brother. And then the sister, I guess, is probably this.
That's not what I... Whoa!
Whoa!
Whoa! Hey, that's not what I want either, but whoa.
Anime has really blown up.
Oh, dude, anime is something completely different nowadays, bro.
I was never really into anime, man.
God, I was.
I think I missed the bus on that one. Like by the time people were...
Here we go. All right. Bam.
Yeah, that's the same outfit I saw over here.
Yeah. So this is the dude that Jonah's going to be. I have no idea what his name is, but he's got this outfit. So we're gonna rock that one. And he's got a boken.
Should I know what that is?
Do you know? I was gonna say, do you know what a boken is?
I don't think so.
So
no.
a boken is it's a plastic. This one's plastic. I didn't want to get him wood, but I've been teaching Jonah how to. A long time ago, when I was still in martial arts, I did a little sword training.
Yes.
And I actually did a little training too. Well, me and Jonah have been revisiting that as of late, and so we have plastic katanas.
Yeah.
They're a big, heavy resin plastic that you can smack around and not cut yourself with and train with.
Yeah.
Basically.
They've got some weight to them.
Yeah, it's got some weight. It's balanced. You can flip it and move it around. It's just like a sword should be.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit lighter. But
Yeah.
if you can get the hang of that, then you can upgrade to an actual sword and train with it.
Right.
But this is just for practice. So he's going to carry that around.
Cool.
So he's got the sword and everything, and his sister is going to be...
Do you still have any, because you used to do kendo, right?
Not necessarily kendo, but I did taekwondo and aikido, and then we mixed that with... I wanted to do kendo.
Okay.
And I wanted to do Kim Pao as well with it. Mm-hmm. But I never got that chance.
Yeah. I did a little bit of kendo. Not very much.
Kendo it's just the art of two hands. Mm-hmm. It's using a sword with two hands, and you always keep both of your hands on the sword. Mm-hmm. So like when you see movies and stuff where people are swinging a sword around with one hand,
that's not kendo.
That's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not really following. If they're dressed up like a samurai, then they're not really following that.
And I remember I had a big old suit that I had to put on to spar.
Oh, I had these pants. They were called Hakama pants. They were great, kind of similar to what this dude's wearing here. They look like a dress, really, when you when you put them on.
I don't know what it is, but I love Japanese style. Like, I love those baggy pants. I don't know. I just think they look dope. Like, I've been getting ads for them a lot lately because they know that I like them.
Yeah, this is what Katie will be.
This is the sister?
This is the sister right here, if you can see her.
Yeah, here she is right here. Yeah. I see her.
So she has this little, like, thingy in her mouth, and she's always got it because elsewise she's a demon.
Oh, really?
This is Demon Slayer, so, you don't want to... So anyway, that's his sister, and she's got her hair has like it's got like fire in her hair. I don't know. Wow. Anyway, they dyed Katie's hair today.
Oh, did they? Cool.
Yeah, so we've got
sweet.
red hair now upstairs and everything.
Did they just dye the tips like on the character here?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Did she dye the upper part darker?
I honestly don't know on that one.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Did Mom do all that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesse dyed my hair once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, maybe a year and a half.
I was gonna
ago.
say, how'd that work out?
It was fine. We made the ends lighter.
Yeah.
My sister tells me I should go dark.
Why?
I don't know. I would though.
Does she know something that we don't?
I don't know. She just thinks it would look good. I don't know.
So this is our Halloween episode, and we've not even talked about Halloween stuff.
Well, we've talked about who's going.
Oh, that's right.
what
Yeah,
on
trick or treating and all
Halloween.
that. That's
Absolutely.
right. Trick or treating. We're going tonight. Going tonight. Do you have a specific Halloween destination here in Jeff City that you go to?
Well, we are not going to be here on actually Halloween because we're going to be gone.
Oh, that's right. You're gone.
But we usually
You're
try.
gone tonight. Don't say that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know. We usually try to hit a couple of the trunk or treat things that they
those are
do
nice.
across town. Like there's one at the Concord Baptist Church across from Hy-Vee that
I think
they
there's
do.
one down here from the Solid Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I know the Holt Summit Police Department did one.
Yep.
So we usually will hit a few of those.
When we moved here, we did a bunch of those.
Yeah.
A bunch of those.
Do you remember trunk or treats as a kid?
No.
I don't either.
No. I think it is it's because do you remember as a kid like at a certain point where people started not turning their lights on for you?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's because of things like that. Like people were worried that kids were going to come up and whatever was going to happen, and so the churches stepped in and
Like,
here's
hey,
a safe alternative to trick or treating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because, of course, I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I went to somebody's house and grabbed a Tootsie Roll that was laced with fentanyl.
Dude, we were talking about this last night. We had unique people, JT and I. There was this gal in Fillmore. Her name was Mitzi, I think it was.
It's a great name.
Mitzi, I want to say it was Mitzi. And Mitzi was a German immigrant. And this would have been like after World War II type German immigrant, you know?
Yeah.
And her and her husband were immigrants. And when I was a kid, so this would have been like mid to late 80s, I think is when she passed, maybe early 90s she passed away. But she lived in a house and her husband had just passed away. But for Halloween, she used to dress up like a Hessian soldier with a red coat and everything. And she would answer the door like a Civil War soldier. And she would have this rifle with a bayonet on it and bags of candy hanging down from the ceiling. And she'd be like, whose side are you on? You know, with this thick German accent, like, are you on the red coats? Are you, you know, and then she would like stab the bag of candy with the bayonet until candy fell into your thing.
Wow.
It was so graphic.
She
like,
went all out.
it was amazing, but like it scared the shit out of me, right?
Yeah.
My mom loved it. She was like, "Oh, this is Mitzi. She's great."
Did I ever tell you there? So one of the few negative things, in my opinion, and you might disagree with me, about living in the boonies is that we get no trick or treaters.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, see, I knew that you would say that. And you know, I can see both sides. I definitely like not having any neighbors, but I also like when we lived in Jeff City. I used to enjoy handing out candy to trick or treaters. I wouldn't be handing out candy anyway because if I'm home on Halloween, I'm going to be with my kids, taking them trick or treating. But before we had kids, I used to enjoy handing out candy. I'd stick my speakers, face them out the window, and play you know Thriller and all those fucking Halloween songs and shit, and hand out candy. It was fun.
I always wanted to do the Roseanne come through the garage with the the haunted house type feel.
Yeah.
You'd have like what was the one where they had the lights off and the kids were walking across grapes and Darlene was yelling, "My eyes!"
Yeah, eyeballs.
My eyes, where are my eyes?
I used to
Are you
love that
stepping
show.
on them? And they had opened up the table and like there was a head. It was DJ.
Yeah.
You know, the kid.
I used to love that show.
It was
man.
a good show back in the day, and then she got political.
Yeah, she went a little cuckoo. Have you heard, like, do you know about, like, her brain damage and things that she's had?
No, are we talking like Gary Busey level brain damage?
I don't know. Rogan's talked about it on his show because he's had her on a few times. And she had some sort of traumatic brain injury when she was young, and he thinks that some of the crazy shit that she says might be, you know...
I think a majority of Roseanne that's just her. You know, she is that type of person that likes to push the envelope just to the point, and she doesn't know that her point is a lot further than everybody else's.
What was the one that she got in big trouble for when they took her off of her own show? Was that a Jewish thing? Was she saying?
I think she made some kind of Jewish remark, anti-Jewish remark, or anti-Semitic remark. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But which time? I mean, Roseanne had controversies all the time, you know. She put that movie out, She-Devil, and then went and sang was Was it the Star Spangled Banner, or did she do the national anthem?
She did the national anthem at a baseball game.
I couldn't remember which one it was.
Everybody
and grabbed
her.
grabbed her crotch and spit and did the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to find her tweet. She made some tweet about the... who was she talking about? She said if the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby. That was what she said.
Oh, shit.
So it wasn't a Jewish thing.
Well, it was...
Valerie Jarrett, I think.
I don't know who that is.
But...
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to love her show. I think she's probably a good person in her heart.
Like
she
all
just
things,
says some crazy shit from time to time.
It's time to move on.
I guess so.
You know,
they still do they still do the show without her?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it
the
called?
Connors.
Yeah, it's just called the Connors now.
Roseanne, because they touched on she was on the show for a while, and so they did
for the first season.
They did this whole arc. Did you watch it?
Yeah, she died of an opiate overdose.
Yeah,
right?
she had an opioid episode, and they used that and killed her off.
Smart. That's if you're gonna place a bet on how somebody's gonna die in 2023. That's usually pretty solid.
That's a
bet.
good one, right?
It's
Opioids.
Pretty solid bet, man. So I saw. Here it is. Axios. Are you familiar with Axios?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're more of like a news.
Oh, the mythical creature Final Four.
They're doing a bracket, which was something we had talked about doing with JT, but I don't think it ever came to fruition.
We did. Speaking of, we have JT on the show coming up later on today.
That's right.
The next
segment.
2 shows, we're going to have JT. We're going to have segments with him. Me and him, we had a night here a while back, and we're gonna use that because, man, we got a lot of content.
Yeah.
That dude is great for content. But we talked about all sorts of creatures and mythical crazies, and man, we started just going to town. And at the end of it, I was like, bro, I'm sorry, man, I gotta go.
Gotta go to bed. Well, it was probably like 8 a.m. for him, and then
I was gonna say, then we talked another hour and a half.
Yeah. He can talk.
Oh, yes,
but that's why we stick a microphone in front of his face.
He's a great interview.
Absolutely, man.
We also talked about things that you can bring in and out of country. Like, I didn't realize this. You could bring a dead baby llama into New Zealand as long as it has the proper clearance, because that is considered a religious thing for certain sects of the people. If they have a dead fetus of a baby llama, they can bury it under their home before they start construction, and that blesses their home.
Okay. All right. I'm going to remember that.
It's some African religion.
If I happen to run into a dead llama in Mexico, that sucker's coming home.
It's coming home, man. I can get $20 for this thing.
Seriously, man.
You know how much I can get for this in New Zealand?
Seriously.
I mean, come on.
So Axios they put together a bracket, a cryptid bracket. And I won't go through the whole list, but they're they're down to the final 4 now. And the final 4 is the how do you say that? Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
I always have trouble with the P. Chupacabra versus Mothman.
Ooh, Mothman.
And then
I never did buy Mothman.
Yeah, I know there's some crazy stories out there. And then group 2 is Bigfoot versus the jackalope. Has anybody ever actually seen a jackalope?
The jackalope is made up.
I was gonna say, are people even claiming to have seen jackalopes? No. I didn't think so. So that one had to.
Dude, what are you talking about? I saw the jackalope every week on AFV when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, America's Funniest Home Videos.
Of course.
Had a jackalope every week.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Really?
No, I don't remember.
Had Bob. What was his name?
Saget.
Yeah, Bob Saget would do the voice.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's going on, everybody? He would always do it like Bob Saget.
Maybe I need to go back and because now that you say it sounds vaguely familiar
my God,
to me.
It was terrible too.
Do you guys watch that show still?
Oh yeah, my kids love.
So do my kids.
AFV goes on every Sunday.
Yeah, it's one of the few programs that we all watch together that we all enjoy.
So Cheech, our little Chihuahua, has figured out how to jump up and climb our gate. We have a baby gate that we put up so no dogs sleep with us, right?
Right.
Well, when it storms, Cheech flips the fuck out.
Yeah.
And she gets scared, and she will scale this baby gate to get in there.
Yeah.
And we got her on camera here the other night, and Jonah was like, send that to AFV. And the other night is like a couple years ago. But I did. I sent it to AFV, and we've not heard anything yet. Still holding out hope, though.
A few years ago, my mother-in-law...
And I already spent that AFV money, so it better be coming through.
My mother-in-law was bugging me to send them videos of the boys because they had some contest where they specifically were asking for videos of twins.
Oh, yeah.
I never did submit any of them. I mean, I've still got a bunch of them. I could still send them even when they're older.
Absolutely. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Anyway, man.
So Chupacabra,
Chupacabra.
he beat the Wendigo. We've talked about the Wendigo before, haven't we?
We have, but not very in depth.
Do you remember what a Wendigo is?
If I remember right, the Wendigo is it's a Native American one, right? It's a Native American. It's a person that has tasted human blood or something and now has become something unholy. If I remember right. Wendigo. Some people say the Wendigo are people, but they've frozen to death, right? And so their feet, like, are frozen feet.
Here they are.
And they have like a antlers and shit.
Yeah, here they are.
There we go. Yeah.
And this is one that people have actually reported seeing, I believe, right? It's not like the jackalope.
Well, if I remember right, wasn't this something similar to what our friends at the Jeff City Paranormal Society talked about? I was talking about that conversation we had with Matt and Jacqueline and
Will and Aaron.
But what was it we were specifically speaking about? It was Matt and Jacqueline. They were at a specific, and for some reason it's failing me now. It was a specific cemetery here in Jeff City that used to be along an Indian trail, and it was allegedly around there first a Indian burial ground, but it overlooked the river.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's the one out by the park, out by Memorial Park.
Is it by Memorial or by Riverside?
I'm thinking Memorial.
Okay.
And I can't for the life of me think of the name of that.
Me neither.
There's two of them out there, but it's one of those.
I do remember Matt telling a story though.
But he said a story of where they were out there late at night, and he specifically saw this thing run up. It looked like a deer, he said.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said afterwards, like, dude, how high were you? And he's like, I wasn't. That was just it.
Yeah.
I saw this thing like a deer run up. It went from 4 legs, and it just stood up.
Yeah, I remember that story. I remember him telling that story.
It went from 4 legs to walking on 2. And it turned and it looked at him, and then it ran off.
Didn't he say that, like, when it changed from 4 legs to 2 legs, that it almost looked like a Native American?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I remember.
Yeah, that it changed into like an Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So supposedly Wendigos will possess you. It's often said to be a malevolent spirit, sometimes depicted as a creature with human-like characteristics which possesses human beings.
Huh.
It's said to invoke feelings of insatiable greed and hunger,
psychosis.
the desire to cannibalize other humans.
Yeah, cannibalistic.
Yeah.
That's another thing I remember.
And there's actually, in modern psychiatry, the Wendigo lends its name to a form of psychosis known as Wendigo psychosis, which is characterized by symptoms such as an intense craving for human flesh and an intense fear of becoming a cannibal.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
Wendigo psychosis is described as a culture-bound syndrome.
Culture-bound.
In some First Nations communities, other symptoms, such as insatiable greed and destruction of the environment, are also thought to be symptoms of Wendigo psychosis.
Interesting.
And it has been used by Native Americans in literature.
I know I've heard them talk about the Wendigo and a few other things on Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, they see
so much stuff out there.
They see 2 of everything out there.
Yeah,
man.
I think so.
That place is insane. So who are you rooting for between the Wendigo? What is it? The Wendigo and the
Well, the last time they, I don't know if you've kept up on your Skinwalker Ranch, but the last time they were shooting rockets up in the air. And so they were trying to do telemetry and density measurements because normally your atmosphere has a certain pressure to it and a certain density to it. Well, they were doing those and they were all different at Skinwalker Ranch, and they went and they did some kind of thermal scan, and they found that when they put all their data together and they showed it up on the screen, that right in the middle at this certain level was this black spot. No data or anything had been gathered there. Mm-hmm. And it was always at this one level. It was always this one spot within this area.
Yeah.
So they started shooting rockets underneath it. And their rockets always at a certain level either failed or they failed to the degree that it shot straight up even harder.
Wow.
So, and it never failed, but it also was never consistent, so they couldn't replicate
Couldn't reproduce it.
But
yeah.
the guy who was building all of the rockets and things, he's that hillbilly astronaut guy from NASA. Kind of talks like he's from the South, but he's like a NASA serious engineer.
Yeah, I know
like,
the guy you're talking about.
He's a legit rocket scientist.
Yeah.
He'd never seen anything like it, and so they were trying to do other things with rockets to try and prove it. Well, they found this. It's like an egg type shape, just hanging in the air that they always fail around. So they decided to bring in this swarm of drones. It's a company from L.A. I think this was the one. Don't quote me on that, but it was. A company from LA that they bring out 4, 5, maybe even 600 drones, and they lay them all out, and these drones are all connected, and they, as a group, they swarm, they hover, they go in the air, and they collectively raise up. They can take pictures, telemetry, everything. Mm-hmm. They started doing the exact same thing. When they got around this dead spot in area, their drones were actually disconnecting and coming back down to the ground.
Oh, wow.
So they would have these drones go up, and you would see them where it would be this stuff going up, and then you would just see at a certain level there's something hanging in the air. These drones were just being pushed back.
So, did you see that on one of the shows about Skinwalker?
Yeah, it was on the History Channel's Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay, there's
and they were trying to do stuff with that, and they asked the guys on the drones, like, have you ever seen this?
Yeah.
And they said, we've flown thousands of drone missions like this, and this is the first time this has ever happened. Weird. They never lose connection.
Weird.
But there they did.
Fucking Skinwalker Ranch, man.
And it sounds like they went back and they were looking at data from that one particular, and this is why I bring this up. That guy was looking at the data from those drones going up, and he said, "Hold up a minute." And they rewound the footage, and they said, "What's going on?" And he took a pen and he wrote on the video, kind of like they do on the NFL, where they illustrate a play. Mm-hmm. And he said, if I was going to build a wormhole, like a Stargate type thing, where I could travel from dimension to dimension, he said, I would build it to where it looked like this. And he draws it on there. And he goes, now, if that thing is activated the way that it should, according to the physics and this and that they talked about, he's like, it should have it was like a 45 degree or some degree that would be seen coming off of it. Mm-hmm. And he said, and look at this. And it showed the area that was a dead spot was exactly the degree that he talked about. So if that was an empty spot hanging in the air, he theorized it could have been a interdimensional gateway like that people were using.
Yeah.
We couldn't see it because it was perhaps in another dimension, but its effects being in our dimension were clearly visible with the angles.
Yeah, and
it matched up to his math.
Yeah. That's crazy, man, because
it was cool.
I've heard stories that match up with that about Skinwalker Ranch of like literally people seeing looks like a rip in the fabric of reality and some creature come
running out,
screaming out of it. Yeah.
Well, what was it? There's a story. Is it Skinwalker Ranch or is it the Manhattan Project or something where something appeared like on a deck of a ship, or perhaps maybe I'm getting my stories mixed up, but where they did some experiment on a ship or on something somewhere, and something allegedly crossed dimensions, and they battled this thing for a while, and it almost, I'm thinking almost now it was like the Battle of Los Angeles type thing.
Yeah.
Where something clearly came into focus through an experiment and then disappeared.
Dude, the Battle of Los Angeles. Anybody that's listening right now that's never heard of the Battle of Los Angeles?
Oh my God.
Google that shit.
That
it's crazy.
That was freaky.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that for the first time, and it was like, "Ooh, is this War of the Worlds?
There's
Come
pictures.
on, this ain't right."
Yeah, there's pictures of it, man. Like it was a big news story.
Yeah, it was a big news story.
Hey, Scotty.
Hey, man.
I'm gonna take a pee.
Hey, why don't we, while you're doing that,
let's soup up our good buddy JT real quick, because he's fixing to be on our second segment.
JT is coming up. He is also a great Patreon patron, so thank you to JT.
Is. Thank you, brother.
And the Paranormal Son. They are on hiatus right now, but thank you to him.
Absolutely.
Also, thank you to our boy Biscuit, who is MIA. He is incredibly busy. I was asking a friend the other day. I've sent him 3 or 4 texts, dude, within 3 weeks, and I've not gotten anything back.
That motherfucker.
Right? He's fucking got AIDS.
Well, I was going to save that for the outro, but fuck it. Biscuit's got AIDS. Let's get it out of the way early tonight.
Screw that guy.
Yeah.
So, but thanks to him. Also, thanks to our Patreon patrons, Kass Kass.
Kass Kass, what's up, girl?
What's up, girly? Also, thanks to our boy Kev.
Kevy Kev.
Thanks to Dub IZ and the fam over at Chess Team Records. Dub threw some fire down in the studios.
I know
the
he
other
did.
day.
I know he did.
I'm still talking about it.
I know.
And also a big thanks to our Patreon patron Jamie Rector. He's the proprietor out there at In the Groove Records. Go check them out. They are up there. What is that? Dunklin Street, right?
I think so.
I think that is Dunklin Street.
Let me Google it real quick so I'm not wrong.
Give us an address while you're Googling it there.
Yeah.
But I'm serious. Go in for all of your... He's an audiophile's dream, man. Go in there, get your vinyl, your CDs. You never know what you're going to find.
He's
Check
on
him
Jefferson
out.
Street now.
He's on Jefferson Street.
I think he was on Dunklin.
Is it 708?
It's 626 Jefferson Street, at least according to Google.
626 Jefferson Street.
Yeah.
Check him out. In the Groove Records. You won't be disappointed.
Now, see, this says 708.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, this says 708. So
708 Jefferson Street.
yeah, fucking Google. Our homie Kevy Kev was looking for that place the other day, and he was
real?
like, "Did In the Groove move?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, they moved like fucking 3 years ago,
Yeah, it
or
moved a
however
while
long
ago.
it's been."
And
now.
they needed to. That building was in rough shape.
Yeah.
So good on them, man. They got a better location. They're doing well.
Yep.
So
Good to see that. Good to see a small little independent record store.
Still,
Succeeding.
That's I love that.
I hope those always exist.
Yeah.
So
Hang around, man. JT from the Paranormal Son. We'll be talking some Halloween spooky stuff right after this. Dave's gonna go to the bathroom. We'll be back for the cool down in just a minute. See you guys later, bitches. Dope. That's nice, man.
Kids, I just arrived from the Color Workshop where I learned all kinds of new tricks with the brand new Magic Color Change Blow Pens. Come on and discover the magical world of the Magic Color Change Blow Pens. They're so much fun. Pick a color. There's so many to choose from. Take the pen, felt tip first, and put it into the jet tube. Add the cap, then just aim and blow. It's so cool. Like magic, it changes color right before your eyes. 8 pens magically change to 16 different colors. Wow, it's like getting 2 pens in one. But watch this. You also get the secret writer. Write your message, then add the magic color. Look, it reveals your secret messages. Use the freehand or with stencils. Now your pictures have no limits. Take it to the max with blow pens. So much creativity, so much fun for everyone. But that's not all. You also get 4 cool neon fabric blow pens. Everything you need to create cool tees, sweatshirts, jean tattoos, and so much more. The Magic Color Change Blow Pen Kit includes 8 Magic Color Change Blow Pens. Red becomes yellow, black becomes pink. 8 pens can become 16 colors. You also get 8 jumbo stencils to make so many great pictures. The possibilities are endless. And with your paid order, we also include 4 neon fabric blow pens. Decorating your tees has never been easier or more fun. Also available for $14.99, our turbocharging foot pump with 5 cool colors. Bring some magic to your artwork with Magic Color Change Blow Pens. To order your blow pens by credit card for $19.99, call the number on your screen. You must be 18 years or older to call. Sorry, no check or COD.
Call 1-800-592-3388. That's 1-800-592-3388. So call and order today.
In 3, 2, 1. Hey, all right. Welcome back to the old 77. It's a safe place in an unsafe world. We're joined alongside with our guy JT. What's up, man?
Oh, same old, man. Happy to be above ground.
Right on. It's good to hear from you, man. I heard you were ill for a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, to tell you the truth, Scotty, life gets in the way of the program anyway, but this year there'll be nothing on the Paranormal Son. Basically, it's going to be, you want to see something, go and check out the old 77. Yeah, it's been like 3 months, man. Just respiratory issues and breathing issues. But it's kind of a double-edged sword. the positive is they haven't found out what's causing it. The negative is they haven't found out what's causing it. So what I'm saying is, at least like I know I don't have heart issues. At least I know I
That's
don't
good.
have like as right now. I don't have like emphysema or something like that. Fingers crossed. But yeah, it is frustrating when it's not just something like, oh, I don't know, I get a headache every Tuesday and I don't know what's causing it. When it's actually like making you struggle to live life. Yeah, it is. It's freaking frustrating, man. I can't sleep lying down. I literally sit on the chair in the living room like this. This is how I sleep, and it's been that way for nearly 3 months now.
Oh,
I can't sleep lying down. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
rough,
it,
man.
it is a challenge.
That is definitely rough. Oof. So this is our Halloween episode here on the old 77. Good to hear you back above ground, brother
Yeah,
man. But
yeah.
while you were down, did you hear anything spooky or anything off
Yeah.
or anything, man? Anything catch your attention down there? You're our Kiwi correspondent.
Yeah, man. I did, I did pay attention to a few things. It was one of those things where I'd see something come on or whatever, and I'd either record it or I'd try to remember to check it out later. And one of the things that happened was about 2 to 3 weeks ago, we have got like trying to think how best to describe it. So like you'll have your evening news, and
Okay.
now here after the evening news, we kind of have like what they call it's soft news. So yeah, they cover stories, but they tend to cover more like the soft peddling, who's got the best ice cream in New
So
Zealand or
nothing's
something
like
like that.
heavy
You
and
know, they're
hard
not.
hitting.
Yeah, no, nobody's talking about the West Bank or anything on there, man.
Oh
And
man,
if they are, it's just like they just acknowledge it. They talk about it for like
gloss it
10
over.
seconds. But that's yeah, that's it. Time to move on because it's not some kid with a lemonade stand, you know. We don't want to talk about that because that's hard. We
Yeah.
have to ask questions if we do that program. So I did see like every once in a while because they run the ads during the 6 o'clock news. And hey man, I'm still a Gen Xer. I still tend to do what our parents did. I don't do it every night, but if I'm home, I'll watch that 6 o'clock
Yep.
news at least to see. Like I might watch 10 minutes and then go, okay, there's nothing on. Because when the third, you know, like they're 10 minutes in and they're talking about sports, it's like, okay, obviously nothing important's happening in the world. As much as I love sports, it's like if you're in the first 10 minutes of the news and you're already talking about sports, or you're talking about Florida man, you know, it's like, okay, it's gonna there's not much here that I can't miss. So anyway, one of these they were talking about life after death, and I
Oh.
was like, okay, piques JT's interest because we talked about it briefly on here before with you guys, but I've had two NDEs. My dad, who you knew, he had like a major NDE in St. Louis. I mean, his NDE, Scotty, was so in depth that he died on the operating table for 8 minutes.
Wow.
And he could tell, yeah, he told the doctors after what was going on in the hallway outside of the operating room. Like, and the doctor said that's impossible because, again, man, you got to remember this is the mid to late 80s
Hmm.
and surveillance cameras weren't anywhere. And also, if you're having open heart surgery, you're not like glancing out of one eye looking at a monitor, you know what I mean, seeing.
Right.
So you know, Dad described there was a guy out there in a red blazer or whatever. I saw the orderly bringing in you know, the stuff for me to be worked on, things like that, man. So me personally, again, very much in the vein of JT, in the vein of the Paranormal Son, I'm not telling you it's like kumbaya and I'm gonna die and we're all gonna have the love circle in the sky with, you know, everybody back to, you know, the amoeba that first fostered me. But I
Oh.
don't know what it is, but I can tell you it's something. Yeah, it's something out of the ordinary. Having gone through it, I mean, I had the NDE, the one that I remember, I was like 8, bro. And to this day, I'm not saying I remember every bit of it, but I still remember the feeling because I drowned, right? I drowned in a lake. We were at a summer camp, and I remember like, you know, you feel like you can't breathe. Obviously, you're struggling for breath, and then I just remember like floating
Hmm.
in the water, and I remember feeling displaced from my body. And I remember like not having any pain, not only not any pain, like no anxiety, anything else. I remember my life flashing in front of my eyes. Wasn't a whole hell of a lot when you're only 8, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but I do remember it. Now this part, like I say, it's not like I remember every detail, but I remember the sequence of events. So I just remember it like shooting past you quite fast, almost kind of like we were talking about Star Wars before, and they go into warp drive. It was like that. It's like events like just shooting past me, and I was cognizant of each event as it happened, but it was moving so fast that if it was like our living waking time right now and that happened, there's no way you could keep up. But in this state, for whatever reason, it's like things were going by like a blur. So it only lasted like, if again, in a state like that, time means nothing, but in your brain, it's like it might have lasted a minute or two. And then I remember, I just remember like feeling I was in a place kind of like warm, nothing, no pain, nothing else. And then the next thing I knew, I was coming to. Well, anyway, they were talking about this new study about NDEs and that. And Scott, you've been so kind as to look it up for me, man, which I really appreciate. And yeah, on the other side of that, the thing is that they've now done another study about this, and what they're finding is that for years and years and years, science has said, oh yes, there are NDEs, but all it is it's your brain dying, and so your brain is slowly losing oxygen and you're hallucinating. So and so that was their explanation to say this is why people have such similar experiences. But this study that's come out, and they only did your typical kind of pop piece 2-minute thing on it. I just watched it before we recorded, actually, because I wanted to have something to talk about. And they had this guy from New York who was a doctor, and he's had an NDE. And basically what they've shown is that the vast majority of people's NDEs are very similar, like almost like if you're playing a video game and you're playing Skyrim, you can be a wizard, you can be a fighter, whatever, but the opening sequence and each one of the things, like that's kind of what happens, to everyone. And now what the whole conjecture coming out of it is basically what's happening is science is starting to say, okay, it's not just a hallucination, because you have got things like people being revived, being brought back to life, obviously CPR, whatever. Right. And for hours after the event, they're recalling things in their whole life again that flashed in front of them. And the scientists have said it is freaking impossible for you to recall even 1/10 of 1% of your life events, because that's the whole point. It's like our brain is like a giant hard drive. You can only store so much, so you've got to wipe a lot of things. And if you didn't wipe those things, it would get so slow, the way that we function, you couldn't function properly, because not only that, but also if you remembered every time you talked to somebody in your life, be it school, whatever, and you had trauma from that, you would soon shut down and you wouldn't talk to anyone, right? So it's part of our brain's defense mechanism, number one. And second, it's just straight up a hardware issue. You cannot subconsciously, you store those memories, but on, like your RAM, like actually accessing that memory, you can't have access to everything at the snap of a finger. Or like I say, it's just your brain wouldn't work the way that we need it to work. So they basically said there's something to this. And now the argument is just back to, is this something naturally going on in our chemistry, or is there something more to it? And, people are always loath to say supernatural, but something we don't understand. And this is why I really love the fact that when they started looking at the particles that would, depending on how they were observed, how they would react. I love the fact that they called them spooky particles, because just the simple fact that we're kind of admitting, in a way, this is paranormal. It's unexplained. We can't understand quite what's going on. We hope we get an explanation, but right now we don't have one. So yeah, I just found, at least what I heard in the snippet on TV, I thought it was pretty cool that a mainstream media outlet here was at least covering it without the snickering and the laughing and that.
That's nice, yeah. To actually take it seriously.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
and again, man, like I say, this stuff is not everyone's cup of tea. I do not expect everyone to agree with me on thoughts and patterns and everything else. I don't agree with everyone out there in the paranormal world, don't get me wrong, but at least have an open mind is all I say. It's That's the bottom line, is just treat it seriously. um, these things have been going on for thousands of years, and especially in the last 100 years that we've had kind of CPR in these things, it's obviously increased exponentially because you've had so many more people on the brink of death and
Yeah.
brain death, and then coming back and yeah, giving their accounts of what have happened. And I'm just one of millions of people out there, and my experiences are pretty, honestly, they're pretty tame compared to what a lot of people have had. I mean, if I was older, I have no doubt that my NDEs would have been much more extreme. And also, it's not. I just use this term because most people will understand it. So most people know what the term survivor guilt is, like a plane crashes, or like in the movie, that one with Bruce Willis, was it Unbreakable? You know, he's on the train and
Oh yeah,
everybody
yeah, yeah.
dies but him. Yeah, and the classic is that plane crash in the Andes where the soccer players ended up having to eat the dead bodies. Survivor guilt is basically saying, why did the person next to me, why did a mom with a 5 year old, why did they die
Mhm.
and I lived? So all I'm saying is it's kind of like people with NDEs, they don't have that experience. But what I'm saying is anyone I've ever talked to who has had an NDE, we all seem to have a similar phenomenon. It's like and basically that phenomenon that I've seen is generally people are not afraid to die anymore. I mean, yeah, we want to live, but it's like we don't necessarily fear death. We don't sit there and count the days. And also, you want to make something of yourself. You want to do more in life than sit in the trailer park and drink Schlitz, you know, and shoot off fireworks every Fourth of July, and that's it. That's your whole life. Now, I will tell you though, as I've grown, I've definitely had the old existential dread. I don't want to die. And the older I get, like I say, like going through this latest instance, you know, you're like, I've got so much left to do. There's so much that I still want to do. It's not time. You know, I feel it's not time. So I'm not saying that we're impervious to it, like the people that have been around, but generally we get the whole thing about mindfulness, and you need to enjoy life. Yes, it's a balance. Like you need to prepare for the future, things like insurance and that. But at the same time, if you want to eat the fucking cheeseburger, man, eat the
Eat the
cheeseburger because tomorrow is
cheeseburger.
not promised.
Right. Eat the cheeseburger, man.
That's it. Because tomorrow is never guaranteed, man, for any one of us.
Yeah. 100%. I'm with you there, man. I don't understand those people who don't want to eat the cheeseburger. Th- this uh th- this th-
Well,
this line in this story, if I can get back to it.
yeah, of
Let
course.
me get to it here cuz it's let me see here. When we're talking about what is death, it says right here, we're going to start right here. So, you have for millennia, actually I'm going to start up here. So, for millennia, death was considered an irreversible event and nothing could restore life. During this last decade, scientists have realized that it's only after a person has died that the brain cells and cells inside the body, including the brain, begin their own death process. It says here, we used to think that when you had about 5 to 10 minutes before brain cells died from a lack of oxygen, but now they know that that's wrong. Now, the average person has hours, if not days, before the brain and other organs in the body are irreversibly damaged after death. Days?
That's interesting, man. It,
I can see hours,
this is
but
gonna.
days? That could also, I mean,
Uh,
that could contribute to you seeing things.
I think that the days part, Scotty, they're just giving a possibility band. So days to me would be, let's say you died on, say, a polar or an Antarctic expedition, because your body is, if it's not completely frozen and you're
Frozen.
kind of going into that, you know, your heart rate, everything else is slowing down. I think that would be an extreme, though. I'm just guessing, But I would say if we die on a normal fucking balmy Missouri day in the middle of summer, bro, there's no way
Yeah.
somebody's coming back after 2 days
I'm like, you're 2
because they're
days.
already starting to smell like, yeah,
No,
they're
he
smelling
smelled like that
trash
anyway.
panda stuff, man. Yeah.
He smelled like that anyway. Don't worry about him. He'll be back in a couple days. Just throw another
But
Schlitz
yeah,
at
I
him.
can see in those extremes, like someone, for example, in seawater, extremely cold seawater, they pull them on board the ship, they throw you straight in like the chiller to keep the body from going off. I mean, we've all heard these stories, and what got me started on a lot of this when I was young was, you remember the old Ripley's Believe It or Nots?
Oh yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah,
up
and
there.
there were these stories that Robert Ripley would write about from India, for example, about these fakirs and different Indian holy men who could slow their heart rate, basically be buried alive, and then you dig them out 6 hours later, and they're okay. And that was the whole thing, is that they have got such a control over their subconscious mind that they can basically go into a forced hibernation.
It's on me why anybody would want to do that, but okay.
I think with the original thing was that was how, just like Western Christianity and other religions, you prove a miracle, bro, and then next thing you know, the Sultan or whoever is signing up to make you his court advisor, and you're dipping into the harem, telling them all, you're rocking into the harem at midnight, and you're saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a eunuch for sure," yeah, no problem.
And I also hear it tastes like strawberries. Check it out.
Yeah, I think that was the original thing, and never underestimate people's um people's desire to live a cushy life. I think
Right.
is the reality. Look at like a Rasputin type. It's like, oh yeah, of course I saved your son, Sarina. Of course, yes, I am a miracle worker. Just look the other way while I'm fucking doing whatever I want to.
Right.
It's all right because I am a miracle worker. Yeah.
Blah. I am Rasputin. Blah. Guy was a fucking
But
weirdo.
that
Took
bastard,
forever
man,
to kill him, dude.
you want to talk about, oh fuck yeah, you want to talk about something paranormal. I remember it was in the late 80s or early 90s, they did a TV, like, remember when HBO was actually produced some things that, yeah, and they did this
I watched
semi-historical account. Yeah, bro, and I did too, and I remember that because you watch how they killed him, and I was like, that's bullshit. And I went and looked it up in the library, bro, and it was pretty much verbatim of what everybody says happened to him. It's like they fed him so much poison, it was enough to kill like 12 men. They shot him like 6 times, bludgeoned him with a fucking poker, threw him in the river, and when they found his body, it showed signs that he had still been struggling to get above the water, so he was still alive.
Yeah.
So they had killed him, what had any rights to kill like 20 dudes. And this bastard's still like, no, must have groupies
for Mother Russia.
It's like, damn.
Right. So they went ahead and beheaded him just in case.
Yeah.
So that's where all that comes
just
from,
in case, we'll cut your damn head off and pour silver down your throat just to be safe.
And hope to God. Jesus.
Yeah, man. It just goes to show. I'm always harking back anytime we talk about the human ability to persevere. I'm never sure who it is. Like, I know it's out there. You can find it out. It is a true historical event, and it is based on it's what The Revenant was based on, that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah.
I want to say it was Kit Carson, but it was an old Wild West guy. Yeah, and they were out, part of a party, and a boulder fell on his leg and crushed his leg, and all the guys in the party left him there. Now this bastard cut his own leg off, and folks, when he cut his own leg off, he sawed through his femur. Now, if you know how hard that is to do, your femur can deal with like fucking insane crush, resistance. He would sit there and cut on his leg until he blacked out from pain. Then he'd wake up and keep sawing it because he knew if he didn't cut it off, he was a dead man.
With his pocket knife, right?
He somehow managed to crawl. Yeah, with a fucking like a what we would call just like a small kitchen knife, you know,
Yeah.
at home, like a skinning knife or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, we're not talking a machete or a
This wasn't a
cleaver.
Bowie
Then
knife
he
either.
crawls his ass. Yeah. Then he crawls his ass over 800 miles to get to a fort to get revenge. And he killed every one of the guys in the party except for the guy who was like 16 or 17. And he basically says, hey, man, they pushed you into this. They probably would have killed you if you didn't do it. Spares his life. And then that dude ended up going on to be one of these famous Wild West men. I think he might have been the dude that ended up being Kit Carson. And anytime, like, I think, you know, when people say to me, oh, you know, oh no, you can't live through that. It's like, dude, and what right did this guy have living through this shit? You
You'd
know,
be surprised what
not
you can
only
live
the trauma
through.
and that of the leg, but yeah, the infection, everything else.
Right.
Being like back then, man, the Wild West was like being on the fucking moon. Like, you know, you there wasn't, oh, I'll just stop in the Casey's, you know, and just get me some bandages and heroin. You know, it's like that doesn't work that way. If anything, you run into other people and they're wanting to fucking scalp you, man.
Yeah. As they get their own bandages and heroin.
That's it. Hey, that white man scalp makes some pretty good bandages, I've heard.
I've heard. So what else is going on?
Hey, maybe
man?
it was like the oh, I was just gonna say maybe it was like the rhinoceros horn, you know? Maybe it's meant to make you virile if you crush up the white man's scalp and smoke it in the peace pipe.
Do you see any of that East Indian like hocus pocus mumbo shit over there in New Zealand?
Yeah, man. Actually, so we've had a bit of a talk about it, and
Tiger fins.
in my new role, yeah, in my new role, I won't go into super depth on
Right.
what I do and where I do it. But yeah, man, we get consistently what we just call TCMs, which stands for Chinese, or sorry, not TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. So these are your herbs and um, they do bring things like they'll just bring a sack and it's got all kinds of roots in that in it, and they believe you boil this as a medicine and then you drink it and it will cure or help make help make certain conditions easier to deal with, like stomach aches and that. The more rarer the item is, the more extreme the claims. This is why you hear about pangolin scales curing cancer, because it seems to be the rarer, more expensive. I mean, it's never like, oh yeah, sand will cure cancer. It's always like super fucking rare, super expensive thing that, you know, like it's like you're on the Interpol watch list, you know. Oh yeah, that cures cancer.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, bro, we get sorts. We get bear bile and we get deer musk, and it is very difficult sometimes because I know these people are just believing what they get told. It's not like these are the guys making the claims.
Right.
But I'll tell you, it's difficult to remove the emotion sometimes when you got somebody who's bringing in pills with bear bile, and you know what those poor fucking bears are suffering through in some random cage in Nepal or China, and they're just in this cage and they basically have cut a hole into their stomach. The bear is suffering its whole life so they can drain bile out, you know, and it's like scientific scientific method is proven again and again this does not cure anything. But when your life's on the line, if you believe that a loved one is going to die, I mean, I think we've all seen it to a degree. If you've got someone who's got cancer like Andy Kaufman had, they'll try anything, and you can't blame them because we don't want to die. I mean, it's
Right.
part of our human condition, and especially if you're especially if you're like our age, you know, for example, it's like, no man, this ain't on. So if it means I gotta fucking crush up I don't know, if I gotta crush up fucking mongoose turds and snort them, I mean, what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? You know, I'm gonna have turds in my fucking nostrils.
Right.
So I think that a lot of it is just human nature. Yeah. And most of the people that we see and that we deal with, it's not for them, it's for a relative here. And they think it's going to cure their cancer or whatever that they're dealing with, man. But yeah, you're right. We do get it. And occasionally we get the really weird stuff. We've had llama fetuses before because that's a South American thing. They believe now, and anyone out there from Peru or, wherever, please don't at me if I've got this wrong, but my understanding is that the idea is that you bury this fetus under a home and it's meant to bless the home, give you good luck. It's kind of a shamanism thing. It goes back to the Incas.
Wow.
And there are various different things like this. Yeah. And the bottom line to us, in my line of work, it's just as long as they meet the procedures and the criteria, even if it's something like you and I would be like, no. As long as they, as long as it's not illegal, and as long as it's allowed to come in, you just have to let it come in, bro.
So are you telling
But
me
yeah, you do get some really weird stuff.
you telling me that's one of the ones that's allowed to come in?
Sorry. Um,
The llama fetus
off
is
the
allowed
top of
to
my
come in?
head, off the top of my head, if it's treated properly, and what I mean by that is if it's not, if it's like dried, kind of like mummified, and there's nothing obviously there, like no insects, um, no eggs in that. And again, man, this isn't something I've actually seen. So even when you hear these things, sometimes they might be a few years ago, and
Yeah.
it's just like anything. Like
Huh.
right now, something might be legal in Jeff City, and in 5 years, you might have a bylaw comes in, and then it might be illegal. So
Oh, yeah.
it could very well be that it was legal and now it's not. But yeah, things like that happen so infrequently that that's where you just kind of search around, and it's like, does anybody else know about this? And if not, show me where in the legislature I should be looking, because just like all law, it's just a bit deep. So if you can narrow down documents to kind of say, okay, what would this fall under? It just helps. Yeah, bro. You do
Wow.
get some weird things. Funnily enough, the other night, man, I had some people come through, and obviously when the Americans come through, it's like, I always take a minute to try and connect, and I'll go up, start talking to them, start asking them questions. And there was this couple. So I said to him, "Oh, where are you from?" And I always love it when people say the US or the States. And I just feel so like just going, yeah, dumb shit. Why do you think I'm asking you? It's like, but, I don't. I'm like, oh, yeah, where in the US? Well,
Right.
anyway, sure enough, bro, here's this couple, Scotty. And they go, "Oh, we're from St. Louis." I was like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I went to school, not far." I said, "In fact, I'm probably the biggest Cardinal fan down here in
Yeah.
Australia. I would put the bets up with just about anyone that I'm the biggest Cardinal fan down this way." Yeah, so started talking to him, and I was telling him, "Oh yeah, I got friends in Jeff City and that," and they had family in Jeff City, and I also had. Like a month ago, I was talking to an older couple that had been backpacking and that, and they'd been backpacking not in Current River, but somewhere fairly close to Jeff City. Because, oh yeah, we went through Jeff City. And
Nice.
Scotty, it just goes to show how connected this world is,
Oh,
man. Like,
yeah.
yeah, you just randomly run into people. Yeah, I ran into some older lady, and she was she looked like, remember on WWE Mae Young? She looked like her, like the face was stretched back in that. But she was a fun, she comes hobbling up with her stick, and I'm
Right.
like, "You made it," and she's like, "Yeah, I made it. I made it to New Zealand." And we started talking, and sure enough, man, she had actually went to college, at the University of Idaho, which is pretty damn close to where I'm from. Now she went to the University of Idaho before I was a gleam in some dumb mix eyes. But I mean, the whole point was that she knew where I was from, and then originally, yeah, she looked very much like Mae Young, is exactly how I
Yeah.
would describe her. Not the black and white ones here, folks. The color updates.
Yeah, the good color
Um,
updates.
but yeah, the color updates. Yes. The what are they in the packs and that? Like when you get sports cards, the inserts. So yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But yeah, it was just funny because she was telling me all about the murders at the University of Idaho, and I had no idea because I don't like I don't follow quote unquote local stuff because I haven't been there since. I mean, Scotty, when I moved to Illinois and went to school with you, I went back once for Grandpa's funeral, and that's it. I haven't been to Idaho for like 35 years.
Been a while,
So
huh?
yeah, she was filling me in, but yeah, But then ironically, I said, where are you originally from? And she goes, oh, Southern California, blah, blah, blah. And that's where I'd lived before I moved here, for 10 years. So it's just funny, like how you can just have these connections with people from all over.
It is.
Um, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a bit of a crack up because you wouldn't think going to work on a shift. Oh yeah, I'm gonna meet someone who knows where my hometown is, where I was born, that has like 40,000 whole people.
Right. I get that, man. Sometimes people
Yeah,
be
and even
like,
the people.
even when you're from Illinois and people are like, where are you from? You're like, oh, I'm from Southern Illinois. They're like, oh, you're from either Chicago or St. Louis. No, no, I'm not.
Yeah, that's it, man. I don't even try. Like I've had the people from Illinois, I've had the people from Indiana, and when they start saying where, I said you wouldn't know where we're from because our county had 14,000 people.
Yeah.
But I just tell them just about like 40-ish miles south of Springfield.
Yep.
And at least, I've yet to have any one of them. Thank God none of them said, where's Springfield? Because then I would really have lost all faith in fucking geography.
See,
it's like
I always
you should
used
at
to
least
use-
know where Springfield is.
I always used to use it's the bathroom break and you're taking the trip on I-70 from St. Louis to Springfield. Or vice versa,
Hey,
Because occasionally
that's a fair comment, man.
Occasionally you'd have a good WWE show that would happen in St. Louis, and then the next night it would happen up at Springfield, Illinois. And so you'd get people who would drive up there. It's only, 2-3 hours, maybe 4 max round trip. Yeah. It's easier than going to Chicago, that's for sure.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's easily
And
done.
less chance of getting shot down fucking parking your car.
And that's in St. Louis, so that's saying something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly.
And they always joke that St. Louis is rough, but man, I still say I like St. Louis. It's one of my favorite towns. It's a hell of a lot better than Chicago. Come to St. Louis because you had fun. Leave because you probably got carjacked. But go to Chicago because for the food. Stay because you probably got murdered.
Well, man, they were going on, and again, I don't know how much of it's true and how much of it was hyperbole, but during like the Iraq war, like after the war was over and you just had troops there and you had troops in Afghanistan, and you constantly had politicians saying more people are murdered every weekend on the streets of Chicago than in Iraq or Afghanistan. Now they meant soldiers. So I'm sure like if you take all of the raping and pillaging going on in the whole country, is probably more going on. But yeah, I mean, it's true. And that's what I always tell people is that, Chicago's great to go to if you're going to do the tourist thing. You're not driving random places. It's like South Central LA, man.
Right.
Like I used to have like when we lived in Southern California, mom and dad had friends from Australia, and they came and flew to visit us, and their son and daughter were kind of like late teens, 16, 17. And they said to me, oh, we want to go see Compton. And I looked at them, Scotty, and they were serious. And I said to them, look, man, it's not a freaking amusement park. People live there. They don't like random whiteys just walking through taking pictures. I said, yes, you can go. I'll drop you off. And if you're there at sunset when I'm on the outskirts, I'll take you home. And they thought I was joking. And I said to them, look, you've got to understand, how would you feel if people walking past your house, taking pictures, looking at you, treating you like you're in a zoo? And then they kind of got it, Yeah. And I said, look, I'm not shitting on you, but it's not a movie set. It's just, it's people live there. People have a life. And generally all they're going to think is, why are these random people here? They're probably fucking snitches or informants or something. And if you're like showing off cameras and that and all kinds of gear, you're just a target because people are like, well, these are foreigners, obviously. So if I rob from them, the chances of me getting caught are even less, as long as I don't rough them up too much. So yeah, it's like they just didn't get it. I'm like, yeah, it's not a movie set. It's real life. All right.
I mean, sometimes you just got to let them go,
Oh yeah, well they were good people, Scotty. So
well, in that case, you don't let them go. You don't let them go.
We have a and don't get me wrong. Oh, there's a lot of love-hate between us and the Aussies here. It's kind of like U.S. and Canada, but generally they're not too bad. There are some loudmouths, but those are the ones that you're just like, oh yeah, you can handle yourself. By all means, go for it.
Right.
Good luck. And when you're hogtied in the back of a fucking '67 Cadillac, and you get dropped off wearing nothing but your cowboy boots, bro. All good, man. Don't call me.
That's called Tuesday. Yeah, that's called Tuesday in Missouri.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly.
Whew, coming off that bender from yesterday, as a matter of fact. So, anyway, bro, we're on our Halloween episode. Do you have anything else Halloween-y
Yes.
related? I know.
No, of course.
I had a couple of things, and I am just so illy prepared for this. It's ridiculous. I'm very non-prepared.
No, man. Honestly, it's the same. I mean, going back to work because we work shift work, so it's like 12-hour days, and being back on your feet 12 hours on the concrete.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a couple days to recover, and I worked like an extra day. So I wasn't as I thought you know how it is in your mind. You're like, I've got all kinds of free time. I'll prepare. I'll look this up. Well, none of that happened, unfortunately. But I do have some stuff just off the top of my head. One of the things is, again, I don't know what the listeners think of you guys. Like I don't know what they think of the dynamic, but I would have to argue, like, if I was just a listener new to the show, I would put down Dave as kind of a true believer. And a lot of people out there probably think that JT is a true believer. Me and Scotty were talking about it before,
Yeah.
folks. And the reality is, okay, if there's something out there that's unexplained, I keep an open mind. It doesn't mean that every time something happens, JT's running around, like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing at the TV, aha, ghosts, aha, aliens. But all it is no matter if there's 0.1% that it could be that, I stay open to it until, it's proven or disproven. Now, again, it doesn't mean that my gut instinct instantly says, like the Sukalos thing. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. It's like, the reality is I've said it on here 100 times. I think that 98% of everything that you see in the sky that's unexplained. So like take your 1% out of every 100 that's unexplained. Now, out of that 1%, I think that 95 to 98% of it, there's a rational explanation. And what I mean by that is it's black projects, it's foreign militaries, it's some phenomena that we don't understand, etc. So I think that the cases of really super interesting things are much more like 1 in 1,000 than 1 in 100. So anyway, in saying all of that, I just wanted to give you folks an example of where, okay, there's something really mysterious and it ends up having a plausible, mundane explanation. So for those of you that don't know much about the Paranormal Son,
Shameless
sorry,
promotion.
Freudian slip there. Yeah, the Fortunate Son has not seen any light of day in many moons. But anyway, one of the people that I've always really admired in the field that I cover is a man named Lionel Fanthorpe. And he's from the UK. He's a member of Mensa. He's written hundreds of books, and he's a really super down-to-earth guy. Well, I had the chance to interview Lionel, and Scott helped me with the audio. We never got it perfect. I had to re-record me asking the questions, but just the experience of getting to talk to one of your heroes and not be disappointed in meeting them was awesome, because you hear so many times the saying of don't meet your heroes because you'll be let down. Well, in this case, I was not. He was just like he just treated me just like any other friend you would have. You're just sitting there talking about the stuff we love, which is the paranormal and the unexplained.
Yeah, it was good.
Well,
interview.
one of the things, yeah, man. I've been hesitant to get in touch with him again because I know he's in his late 80s, and I don't want to hone in on his time with his family and that, but I probably will try and say again, hey, Lionel, any chance, even if it's just a phone call, and it's not being recorded, just because it was amazing. And even at that age, man, I hope I've got it half together of what he does at his age. Well, anyway, I brought up this case in the UK, and he hadn't heard of it. And this happened about 10 years ago. And Scotty has got the article as well, folks. So it was the story of this. So if you know what, I want to say they're Coptic jars, but I might have that wrong. So you've all heard of King Tut and the pharaohs. And what would happen was when they mummified your body, they would take your heart and your brain and they would put it in these jars that might be canopic jars, something like that. And so they would be shaped like the pharaoh, or if it was a priestess or whatever, it would be shaped like the person who had died. Well, somebody noticed in visiting this museum in the UK that it was either one of the patrons or one of the staff noticed, hey, wasn't that facing the other way the last time? So they actually went back and looked at the at the recordings of it. And so we're just going to use this as a stand-in. No, I'm not sponsored by them, Scotty. We're going to use this as a stand-in. And slowly, by watching the recording, you could just see this jar rotating. And it was really eerie when you see the footage with no explanation. And it's like, okay, you start thinking, is this something psychic? Is it the curse of the pharaohs, as they say? What's going on?
I'm trying to think of something similar to this right here. So
yeah, man, yeah, there you go.
They would have this right here, right? This would be sitting on the counter, and then they would look at it, and they would look away, and they'd come back, and it would be turned, and it would just keep turning.
And folks, for those of you that are skeptical,
millennia old, by the way.
And for those of you that might be skeptical from the outset, this is in a sealed glass cabinet in a museum, so they're padlocked. No one's going in there touching them because they're under lock and key. So they go back and they look at this footage, and sure enough, like they look back at, like, I think the museum's footage went back like a month. For those of you who haven't been around security footage, I have. You don't tend to keep more than that because servers and bandwidth. Scotty knows better than I do, but you usually, if you want to see something, like if there was some theft, that's why you don't wait too long, because it's gone into the ether. Well, anyway, they review it. And so, like the head of the museum is like, okay, what the hell is going on? So they take this Coptic, again, what I can't think of the proper term. I'm sorry, folks.
I think it's a Coptic
but they take
jar.
This. Sorry?
Is it a Coptic jar?
That sounds right. It's just, I know Coptic is like also a sect of Christianity, yes, Scotty, but it might be both in this case.
Or
but yeah, that's it. It's we'll just call it an organ flask,
It's a canopic jar.
That's the one. That's it, canopic jar. Thank you, sir. So they take this thing out, and they're like, right, okay, we're going to follow the scientific method. So they weigh it, they measure it, they try to reproduce it. They take it, so they've taken it from the museum to a lab offsite.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very important. They take it out of its environment to a lab, and they can't get this to reproduce. So they're like, okay, this is really weird. It's not happening here. We've replicated the experiment. Nothing's going on. So they go and they do what a good scientist should do. They check this thing out. They make sure that nobody's kind of altered it or messed with it. They weigh it, they measure it, and then they notice just on the base of it, there's a very slight difference in the base. The base is not perfectly flat. Now, to the human eye, this jar looks flat. And if you feel it with your hand, it's flat, but it's just got a very slight incline that you can't note with your eyes. Now, why is this important? When they tied it together with what had been happening in the neighborhood of the museum, because again, people weren't reporting this jar moving by itself for 20 years or whatever. It was fairly recently. They had found out that wherever this museum was, I want to say off the top of my head, it was like Manchester, Leeds, kind of North Midlands, UK. They
Manchester
found
Museum,
out that
yeah.
Manchester, yep. So they found out that fairly recently, in like the last year or so, they had been rerouting the heavy truck traffic in the neighborhood.
Oh, man.
So it was passing like 2 streets away from the museum. So this jar sitting on a smooth glass base with this vibration was very, very slightly moving this jar around and around. So like when you looked at it through 8 hours of sped up footage, it was really visible. Now, the thing that, again, this made sense because it always turned the same direction. So like clockwise, or it wasn't going, hey, I'll turn counterclockwise and I'll turn clockwise, because that's the direction the traffic was moving. All the trucks were moving this certain way. Now, how did they prove it? Again, as you should as a good scientist, it's not just I have a theory, but I'm going to show you that this really happened. they put a piece of cloth under it on this glass display stand, and that was just enough. It was either a piece of cloth or just something to basically block that inversion in the bottom of the base.
There were
And then
several
bingo, no more
supernatural
moving. So Scott's got the video here. We'll let Scotty play that.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, oh, continue talking, man.
Yeah, it's just all I'm
can see
saying,
it.
folks, is there are lots of times, and I would argue the vast majority of the time, this is what's going on. But I always reserve the right to say there's something more to this until proven otherwise. And again, there will be lots of things after JT dies that they'll explain this, that, or the other with something scientific. And I'm all for it. I don't have any problem with science. My only problem with science has ever been when we start getting that hubris of humanity and start saying, we know all the answers to everything. And it's like, dude, put down the hash pipe, okay? Because no, we don't. And we never will. That's the reality.
No.
There's always going to be something unexplained in the universe. And I'm all for it. I'm here for it, obviously, or I wouldn't be recording shows about it.
I don't understand how no one even noticed this.
Because it was moving so imperceptibly slow.
It's not like it's a gigantic,
yeah.
You know, it's not like it's a one piece or anything. It's a gigantic thing that's moving around.
Yeah, well, really what I think it is, Scotty, is, you know, if you and I go to the museum, generally we're going to take one pass over like that, for example, and we're not going to go back and see it. And most of us aren't going to go to the museum every day for, you know, lunch or whatever and see, hey, wasn't he facing that way yesterday?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why in the end, I think it was someone in the staff, obviously, that noticed it and they went and found it. Now, so that, yeah, bro. So that makes JT wonder how many other things out there are, you know, something like this is going on and we're just not perceiving it.
Right.
There are lots of, I mean, you've heard about pets, and I'm all on board for this, that pets perceive things that we can't.
Yes.
There's something on another vibration or another wavelength. I can't tell you. Okay, so William, my dachshund, right?
Mm-hmm.
He barks, but he's no dummy. He doesn't just bark at the wind, okay? Every time he barks, there is a rational reason behind it. Good example is the neighbors across the street close a car door. Now, in William's mind, that means someone's in our drive, right? Because someone's just closed the car door, so he barks. Very, very rarely do I ever get him just barking for no reason. But when he has barked, it's that whole, he's looking into another room or he's looking into the corner and, bro, there's nothing there and there's been no sound made. And especially when dogs get their hair up on their back.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, that's where I'm really like, okay, I think there's something that they're sensing that we can't quite sense. Now, I don't know what it is again, but it just, not every dog is a scaredy dog that just barks at every fucking random thing. And also, when dogs have lived in the same place, and like William, okay, for those of you that don't know the story, he's paralyzed, folks. So he can't get up and move around.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying by that is his surroundings are as focused as it can be because he doesn't change. He sits in the same place pretty much all day, every day. He might move a little bit around the room, but he very rarely even leaves the room unless I pack him out. So what I'm saying is it's not the, oh, somebody's moved something and he didn't notice it. It's like, no, that is his fucking kingdom.
Yeah.
So when he starts going ape about something, there's a reason. And I just find it fascinating. There's a perfect story lead in for you, Scotty, something else kind of that's been paranormal, unexplained for years and years. And now they've got a theory about what it is. So I remember watching this so Arthur C. Clarke, you know who he was, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Arthur C. Clarke, as he got older, he moved to Sri Lanka and he really got interested more and more into paranormal, unexplained, the stuff that I do, right? So histories, mysteries. And he did a couple of TV series. One was called Unexplained Universe and one was like Mysterious World. And man, in the like early to mid 90s, these would come on cable. And we didn't have cable, as you know, like you. But when I would go up and visit my friends' grandparents in Assumption, they had cable, man, and I'd always be so excited to catch these programs. Well, I remember him covering this place, and it's in Scotland. It's somewhere in Scotland, and it's this bridge. It's like a footpath, but it's like an old style bridge. So what I'm saying is, it's not like a sidewalk and a little like culvert. We're talking like a bridge, and if you jump off that bridge, you'll break your neck. I mean, we're talking like 30, 40 feet up. So over the years, it's been going on for at least 100 years. People walk their dogs along this bridge. They call it the dog suicide bridge. And these dogs will get partway across the bridge, freak out, and jump off the bridge. And for years and years, people are, like, what's going on? Is there a ghost? Is there ghostly dogs? What the hell is making these dogs do this? Now, the theory is that somewhere in that embankment and that brush under the bridge, there is it was either foxes or some kind of wild animal scent, and the dogs get so stirred up about the scent they want to jump off the bridge. Now, that's all well and good for a hunting dog, but I can tell you, man, if you've got a Pekingese or something, they're generally not that excited to, they might be interested, they might be curious, but that scent, that's the one, man. Like you imagine jumping off of that. That's like, if that's not death, it's pretty damn close. And if you survive that, go and buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, no kidding.
As a dog, I mean.
Hundreds of dogs have jumped off the bridge since the 1960s.
I thought it was back further, but still, even then, that's over
Bridge.
50 years, man.
Yep. Man. A hotbed for what locals have called doggy suicide. Poor bastards. Yeah, that sounds a lot like that forest in Japan too, man. That people walk into and they want to kill themselves.
Well, the reality of that forest is that my understanding is that now, maybe not originally, but now most of the people going there, they're going there to take their own life. So that's become kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
But yeah, originally, I mean, there are accounts and stories. You go back to ancient Japan, and you go back even since Europeans have been in Japan. And when I say Europeans have been in Japan, I mean specifically when they opened up after America and the gunboat diplomacy of sailing the fucking dreadnought into the harbor and shooting guns and saying, now you're open for business. Who was that? Was it Dewey? Admiral Dewey or whatever it was in the 1840s, I want to say. But he sailed in there and said, I don't care if you've been closed for business for 300 years. You're opening now.
You're opening now.
Well, anyway, you're open now. You're open for McDonald's.
That's right.
Anyway, there are these ongoing stories about these monks in these sorry, I'm trying to think of the right term, Shinto temples in Japan that basically became what they call living mummies.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what that means is, they have basically planned to die and have just very slowly slow the food they're eating, the water they're drinking, etc. So they end up becoming mummified, not mummified with like wrappings in that, but a desiccated body. And you would go to these temples and you would interact with these monks as good luck or like a boost to your karma. And that's it. You're showing the pictures there, Scotty. I mean, there's still to this day, there are some out there. Now, there's lots of conjecture about how many of them are real and how many of them are kind of props. But we know for a fact that it did happen. Like, imagine being so committed to whatever your belief set is that it's like, I'm not just going to die. I'm not going to take my life. I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid like Jim Jones. I'm going to slowly shrivel, and I'm just going to sit here in, basically peace and harmony and let it happen, man. I mean, that is some freaking dedication.
That is.
And again, it just that mind over matter thing,
Do you remember when we were kids, though? They used it on the cover of Rage Against the Machine. It would have been it would have been those monks from Vietnam that walked out in the middle. I think it was Houston.
Yeah.
They walked out in the middle of an intersection in Houston. 3 of them sat down, 4 of them, I think it was 4 or 5 additional ones came and blocked traffic. 3 of them sat down and 1 sat right in the middle of it, and they just doused themselves with kerosene and set it on fire and meditated the whole time while they burnt.
Yeah. Never screamed, never moved, just basically burned to death.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I do remember that. I mean, past after our time, but I remember the accounts of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another one I remember is, if we're talking suicide, is I can't remember his name. It was Dewey something. He was I want to say he was some lawman of some sort. He was a governor, a congressman.
Not Huey Brown. Huey Brown, was it?
Was it maybe Huey Brown?
Guy, or Huey Long. Huey Long, sorry. He was in charge of Louisiana. He was the big man in Louisiana.
Was he the dude that called a press conference, basically said during the press conference, I did all of this, and then pulled a gun out and shot himself during it? I was thinking it was Dewey
Huey Long
something.
Huey Long was basically, they used to call him the king of Louisiana because even though he was only the governor, he controlled it. I'm just looking it up on my phone here so we don't screw with our leg. The Kingfish, that was it. That was his nickname. 1893 to 1935.
Let me see if I can't find this. No, there it is right there.
No, he was assassinated. Huey Long was assassinated.
Bud Dwyer.
Okay, no, I haven't seen this.
Bud Dwyer is who I'm thinking of. So Bud was in the process of he was going away for a while. If I remember right, they were convicted.
Bud Dwyer was elected state treasurer in 1980, the first of 2 terms running the state's finances. It was his second term, though, that spelled the beginning of troubles for the 47-year-old veteran politician. Last May, the state treasurer and former Republican state chairman Robert Asher were indicted in what became known as the CTA bribery scandal. After a trial that lasted over a month, both men were found guilty in December for their role in a kickback scheme involving the awarding of a $4.6 million contract to a California computer company. In return, the 2 received promises of $300,000 in kickbacks.
You know what's crazy
but no
now,
money
Scotty,
ever
when we
exchanged
think about
hands.
things like this, is that anything you want to know, like that guy, I'm sure you go on the internet, you look the right place, you'll find the footage. But remember, growing up, we had to watch Faces of Death to see anything like that. Like,
oh, I know.
And remember, everybody was saying it was like The Ring, like it would turn your brain to mush if you saw it. And
see, this was the first thing that I really remember seeing on TV. This was on the channel, I want to say Channel 2, Channel 4, and Channel 5 in St. Louis News that night. It was heavily redacted and heavily edited, but this guy had called a press conference, and I was talking with Matt, and I believe Matt remembered when this happened. I don't know necessarily if it's not going to show it. This guy called a press conference, and while he was on the air, pulls out, he starts telling that, hey, I'm sorry, this and this, pulls out a manila envelope, pulls out a revolver, and everybody's like, oh my God, and somebody from the crowd yells, Bud, don't. And he goes, no, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And then he puts the revolver in his mouth and pulls the trigger on the air. They stayed. They didn't cut to black or anything. You see his body fall, the gun fall. People are running to the front. Somebody just stands at the podium and is like, we're going to have to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. And they finally cut away. But it was something, man. That's the first thing I'd ever seen. Never seen anything like that.
Well, no, that's it. I mean, I remember the Reagan thing. I remember when Hinckley shot him.
I remember that.
And I remember the Pope John Paul assassination attempt as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, you're right. I mean, imagine that generation again that went through seeing JFK,
oh yeah,
seeing that happen. So, there was something interesting that I didn't know until fairly recently. So, the epic, iconic film Dr. Strangelove, right?
Oh yeah, and how I learned to love the bomb and stop worrying.
That's it. And the mine shaft gap. The mine shaft gap. Yeah, man. So apparently. Yes. Mine president. Hey, old habits die hard, man.
Right.
Well, apparently, the original ending was 15 minutes longer.
Oh, no kidding.
And apparently, there's no footage of it because Kubrick scraped it before they released the film. Now, the urban legend was that the reason that it was scraped was that there was the scene with the general and the Russian ambassador, and they're fighting over the camera that he has. And in this version, the Russian ambassador actually does have the camera. He's trying to take photos of the inside of the war room. And so they're wrestling about it, and it breaks out into a pie fight because Kubrick wanted to kind of highlight the absurdity of we're going to nuke each other. So he kind of did a Three Stooges pie fight. And they do a Three Stooges thing where somebody ducks and the president gets a pie in the face. And apparently they say, oh, the president has just been shot in the face or something like that. Well, the movie came out around the same time as JFK. So the rumor was that they scraped it because of that. But Kubrick said no. He removed it because he just didn't feel that it all kind of worked together. But either way, like again, how old were you when you found that out, JT? Well, I was, what am I now? 46. Yeah. So I didn't know that there was lost footage to that. I just found out about it the other day watching one of those lost media type iceberg things.
Yeah, I see stuff like that all the time, and I'm like, I didn't know that. Like I watched one the other day on the Wilhelm scream. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Wilhelm scream, it's probably the most recognizable scream in Hollywood. It's one of the most recognizable sound effects. Give me just a minute, and I will play it for you, because I guarantee you will know the Wilhelm scream. Here we go. So this is referred to because in 1951, for the film Distant Drums, it was like most things in the 50s, you know. It was a Western, and the Wilhelm scream was this.
Wilhelm! Yeah, I'll just fill my pipe.
Here it is. Somebody shoots him with a bow and arrow. That's the Wilhelm scream.
I'll have to look it up after, Scotty, because I can't get the audio. I just need 1 second here.
Yeah, no problem, brother man. I'll tell you what. While you're doing that, why don't we take a break? We'll be back here in just a moment. On the old 77. Bitches.
Are you tired of flat, boring hairstyles? Do you go through a can of hairspray trying to get that full volumized look? Then bump it up with Bump Its and get that salon-style look fast and easy. Bump Its are the incredible self-stripping hair accessory that give you perfect style and volume every time. Go from flat to fabulous instantly. Imagine being able to create today's hottest hairstyles in seconds. And they're so easy to use. Anyone can be a stylist. Simply part your hair at the crown, give a little tease, insert Bump Its, fluff it up, and you're ready to go. Just look at the difference. Amazing! Go sexy, elegant, casual, sassy, flirty, and fabulous. With Bump Its, you'll feel confident and beautiful every day. Styling hair can take forever and it just falls flat. Bump it up and your style lasts all day long. Bump Its are incredibly comfortable, stay completely concealed, and are super secure so they won't fall out. Wear Bump Its anywhere, every day. They're the easiest, most versatile hair accessory you've ever worn. One trip to the salon can cost over $100. So why not pick up your Bump Its today and get that salon look every day? You'll also get the small Bump Its. It's great to bump your bangs or bump a ponytail. And the large Bump Its, perfect for those special occasions or when you want a little extra high volume. Plus, the easy-to-follow style guide and this professional teasing comb. Choose from blonde, light brown, or dark brown black. Bump it up with Bump Its. Remember to pick up your Bump Its today.
And now, starting for the Boston Celtics,
right.
Number
42.
The reason why I'm doing that is because this reminds me of the Pink Floyd song. It's the second song on Dark Side of the Moon. What's it called? Like On the Run or some shit?
Yeah, I think so.
It's got that same like synthesizer. And the reason why I said what I said is because anybody that was a Chicago Bulls fan back in the day knows that was the song that they used.
Oh, that's what it sounded
for
like.
the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Well, no, they used the actual Pink Floyd song. They used the actual Pink Floyd song at Chicago Stadium.
I didn't know they used the actual Pink Floyd.
The Pink Floyd song they used just for the visiting team. They had a different song that they used for themselves.
Yeah.
But the visiting team got
Well, good for them.
What a great fucking album that is, man.
We were just listening to it before you got here, to be honest.
I mean, you know, it's Halloween, and that album certainly at times has a very spooky vibe to it.
What on Halloween mix the Pink Floyd with the Wizard of Oz? Dark Side of Oz.
You know, Roger Waters has said that there's no truth to that.
Well, then it fits up really nice.
I agree.
Really nice.
I agree. They may not have done it on purpose, but maybe that's just one of those winks from the universe.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's a tip of the nod
from
the universe.
This is a legendary movie. This album that you're making is legendary. Let me just sync that shit up. That's what the universe said with that.
Go ahead and put that together.
Absolutely.
Right. That's.
It's funny when life works that way, right?
You know, it's funny, like especially with JT. We just had him. He was talking about all that stuff too.
Yeah.
How things, funny how things get all worked together.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we had a good conversation, he and I, dude. It was a good time.
Yeah, I was sad that I couldn't be a part of it.
Yeah, I was bummed as well.
Yeah.
I was like, Dave can't make it tonight.
I hope
was
he
like,
missed me.
Here's how we're gonna do it. He told me, make sure you tell Dave. Make sure you tell that cunt I said hi.
Okay, that sounds like JT. I was hoping there would be a cuss word or an insult or something in there.
You tell that cunt I said hi.
Because if you would have just said, tell Dave I said hi,
yeah,
like, this motherfucker's lying to me.
Lying.
That's not the type of shit JT would say to me. He would be sure to throw some sort of verbal jab in there.
So, cunt, hi, how you doing?
Hello, JT.
I'm supposed to tell that other cunt.
I'm
hi.
doing good, you fucking pussy willow.
I love that, man. I love that. I never in a million years. I was calling him our Kiwi correspondent. He's not officially from New Zealand.
No.
So don't get your panties in a bunch.
But
please.
he sounds like he's halfway officially from there when you hear
to
listen
someone
to him talk.
from there. He probably doesn't sound like that.
No, not somebody that's from
but
there.
He does to me.
But to somebody from here, he clearly doesn't sound 100% American.
Well, I'm sure to people from Chicago, we sound like absolute hicks.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
I get it.
And for me, I feel like my Southern accent it really comes out if I've been drinking.
I was just gonna say that. I only hear your Southern accent when you've been drinking.
Yeah.
And then it starts.
There's a lot of people that are like that.
Things start getting longer, and the accent starts getting more pronounced.
You
and
know,
Dave gets more and more Southern.
Well, like our buddy Dustin, he's got a pretty Southern accent. I'm also thinking of our buddy Wands.
Dustin is Southern. Oh yeah, Wands will get that way.
Yeah, I feel like because he works right behind me now. Like he's back at my current your former employer. And
at the employer at the job.
So I get to see a lot of our buddy Wands, and he is like out of all the people in that office, he definitely is the most Southern motherfucker in that office. Like the most Southern Missouri motherfucker in that office, which is great. Like that's his charm. You know what I mean? That's what makes him him.
How was he introduced to me when I first met him? He was introduced as the most interesting, uninteresting person you will ever know. And I'm like, I don't understand that. And the more I got to know the dude, I'm like, I totally get that now. Okay.
Yeah. So elaborate on that.
Okay, so back in the day, Wands used to. You remember when that tornado hit a few years ago and it wiped out? Well, it was. I don't know if it was during that.
Yeah.
Or if it was before that, or if it was a tornado-like storm. Wands would get drunk, go out, and do weather reports on Facebook. He would throw them up on Facebook, and it would be him, and there'd be like a little puddle of water. So it'd be, it's really coming down out here, you know, and they'd be drinking or whatever.
Now, was this for comedy purposes?
Yeah,
clearly?
Absolutely for comedy purposes.
I figured.
It wasn't. I don't believe it. There was any malice or any mischief.
Well,
they were just playing around.
He wasn't like interviewing for a job or anything.
no. God, no.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I remember there was one of them.
It's raining sideways.
I think he was outside in shorts and it was snowing or something. Like,
that's
it's
good.
really coming down out here, you know.
That's what I expect.
Freezing his balls off
Yeah.
out there doing this little bit for, your entertainment.
It's a great idea, man. It's a great idea.
But, it was stuff like that. And it was like, man, you were totally accurate.
Yeah, yeah. I could see that because when you first meet the guy, you might think, oh, well, he's just some simple Southern dude.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're more than that to me, Juan.
No, I love Wanzi.
So, Scott, you heard about this mass shooting thing that's going on in Maine.
Does that have something to do with Halloween, you think? Does that got something to do with the...
Well, it's fucking scary.
It is, dude.
It's scary because
it scares the shit. I hope by the time this recording comes out that this motherfucker is gone.
Whether
that he's not on the planet anymore, because as of this recording, they know him. They have swarmed his compound or whatever.
His house.
But he wasn't there.
Yeah, yeah.
We haven't found him yet.
So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because my nephew has a friend that lives in this town, and it's a very small town. It's about a Jeff City sized town, maybe even a little smaller, like 37,000.
Wow.
And so I need to text my nephew, and because I found out about the connection last night.
Man,
right, a couple hours after it started.
You have a nephew there?
I have a nephew who has a very close friend that lives there now. Yeah, a kid that he went to school with growing up. They were very close friends. So I know that the dude is okay. Apparently, at one point he was in his closet.
Oh man.
But that's all I know, and so I need to talk to my sister or my nephew.
Man, I hate the fact that is the new normal.
Yeah, man.
I hate that for my children.
It was a thing that you and I really didn't have to worry about as kids.
And I grew up with a dude who, I grew up with people who would fuck around and do hit lists, but they didn't mean it.
What do you think? Why do you think it is so prevalent now compared? And I don't want to go too deep because I know it's our Halloween episode.
Right, but I mean, this is a very terrifying thing.
It is very scary.
This is scarier than any fucking movie or cryptid or whatever we talk about. We had a great segment with JT, but this is way more scarier than anything we talked about.
Yeah,
I honestly think that one or two people were possibly glorified from it, or at least were exposed, and people still talk about them. Or Columbine was a big one that I think of.
1999. That was the first one that happened.
That was the first one, but also we didn't know how to deal with it in the media yet.
I was a junior,
so they did nothing but talk about the names of the shooters.
Yep.
I don't remember them because I choose not to remember them, but
I remember their names.
But wasn't there a shooting not too long ago that was in honor of the two dudes?
Dude. Yeah, I'm sure.
Like
most of those
when they
school
caught
shooter
the person,
types
they
look
were
up
like,
to those guys.
we were doing this as a way to honor these two dudes from Columbine. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And it's so the strangest part about it is that things like that were basically non-existent before 1999.
Right.
And now they're so common that like we've grown numb to it, and I don't know about you, dude, but like every morning when I drop my kids off at school, that crosses my mind. Like,
all the time.
Is this going to be the last day? Like, is this going to happen in my kids' school today?
What worries me is I go to pick my kids up from after school care, and at least lately they've gotten better. But for the first, we've been here 8 years, going on 9. So for the first 6 years, I could have just walked right up to the school after hours, mind you, walked in the double doors and through the foyer, walked straight into the cafeteria where all the kids were, and then I would push a button to wait for a teacher to come in from somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
The kids were watching themselves.
Yeah. The
ones inside were the ones with either a small teacher's aide or an older student who was doing, trying to wrangle cats, basically. Yeah. And then everyone else was out playing on the playground.
Yep.
So, I mean, I could have walked in and just opened fire, dude.
Yeah.
I worried that people would do that if I'm thinking of it, Jesus, I know they're thinking of it.
There's got to be somebody more unstable than me that's thinking of it.
Well, see, and I only think of that stuff because, like, fuck, what could happen if I can just walk in here and do this? What could happen? And then my brain starts thinking of all these horrible scenarios, you know. And I'm like, shit, if I'm thinking this stuff, I know somebody else is thinking this.
Yeah. It's one of the worst things that I do. I think is like when I get into a negative mind state. The first thing that I do, like you just said, is I go into, I have 100 different scenarios of bad shit that are running through my head. And it's so bad. The scenarios themselves are so bad in my head that it's almost like they're actually happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like
I've ran, so that's one of the beauties. I feel like one of my strengths is I run scenarios. In my head, I'm an overthinker, so I'm constantly thinking. And it wasn't a problem when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But now as I'm an older adult and I've got more shit to think about and more consequences from overthinking things. And that's just it. Like, as a kid, when my brain would just kick into overdrive and start thinking and I would go nuts and stuff, I never had that break or that control system to go, whoa, I'm overthinking. Yeah. Now I can realize when I'm overthinking, and when things get, too bleak, that's usually when I'm really overthinking.
Yeah.
I've got contingency plans built upon contingency plans built upon contingency plans.
Sure.
And that's clearly the sign of an overthinker.
Yeah, of course.
you know?
I think most intelligent people are overthinkers.
I don't know. I don't know if they are or not. I think the real intelligent ones are the ones who realize that they have issue and that they are working, because you never are not. Once you realize you've got certain issues about yourself or characters that you don't like, you're constantly working on that for the rest of your life. And the worst part about it is when you do change, you start to see that in other people, like, oh my God, they're doing exactly what I was doing. Hopefully, I hope that this can change or that this can change, and it never does, because no one else, unless they choose to wake up to it, just keeps going. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there was a lady the other day at I think it was an Arby's or something. I was driving by, and she had a massive problem because something wasn't right with her burger. Right. And just through this big stink, I was at the Goodwill. That's what it was. Yeah. And out of nowhere, I hear just this, and I look over, and there's this great big old lady, and she is hanging out of her car window, and she is throwing whatever they served her back at the window. Jesus. And it just hits with a thud, just, and then Arby's sauce everywhere, coming down. But, man, she was pissed about something. Oh, she was hot.
Yeah. You didn't get to the bottom of it. Oh, God,
no, hell no.
Are you the type of person that will call somebody out on that shit if you see it in public?
Yeah, generally.
You wouldn't think that about me, but I'm one of those people. I will do that. Like,
I don't like to be that guy.
If I see injustice happening.
If it comes to, like, somebody fucking up my food, I won't say a word.
No, me neither.
No. If
they're just being an asshole, right? If they're being a bad human,
but like if somebody inadvertently gets their food messed up and then they go back and they're just this asshole about it, I feel bad for them. It's like, woo.
You feel bad for the employee that's having to take it. Yeah, me too.
Oh, what do you? This isn't a part of your job description. Don't take this shit.
Yeah.
But they can't do anything, and that's where I feel like me, as the third party who is neutral, can do whatever the fuck I want. I'm Switzerland, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no.
So I can either call them out on it gently, or an asshole, depending on how they are, or I can just, if the employee was a total dick about things, just not do anything.
Yeah. I will forgive almost anything if you're a nice person to me. I'll just say that. Like, even if you fuck my shit up, as long as you do what it takes to make it right, I'm good.
Well, I mean, I think that's just, everyone should do that.
Everyone should do that, but everyone doesn't do that. Everyone doesn't do that. Everyone gets mad because you're wearing a fucking name tag. Boom.
Bam, isn't that oh God, put that shit on a shirt right there.
yeah. Put that on somebody's name tag, right? I told you about the time at Petco when it was like my last day working there, and I knew it was my last day working there, and some customer got mad at me for no real reason at all, other than like.
Is there a reason to get mad?
Yeah, it was stupid. I'm not even going to try to describe why he got mad at me, because it was not a reason to be mad.
Yeah.
But I followed his ass out of the store and confronted him, and ended up shaking his hand at the end of the conversation.
Oh, yeah. I remember that story. Yeah, you did tell me that one.
Yeah. He thought he was going to kill me, but at the end of the day, he was like, God damn it, I like you, motherfucker.
Yeah, that is your charm. I
That's
will
what I
say
do to
that.
people.
Yeah,
That's
you
what I do to
just want to
people.
murder you, but at the end of the day, you're like, God, I respect the shit out
Damn
of
it,
that
I
guy.
can't murder this guy. Fuck. Yeah.
If you weren't so respectable, I'd already have murdered you by now, you dirty ass bitch.
One of these days, somebody's going to murder me, dude.
God, I hope not. Don't say shit like that. I hope not.
If they do, I hope it's quick, man.
Oh God, nah. I hope not.
That's what happened to John Mack. Speaking of weird, scary shit, John Mack, the great UFO researcher, the night that he died, he was giving a speech and mentioned in his speech, I could walk out into the middle of the road and get killed tonight, you know, get run over by a car. And then he, after the speech, that's literally what happened to him.
Wow.
Yeah. You never know when your time is here, man.
No, isn't that the truth?
You never know.
And you never know how you're going to react or how other people are going to react, you know, to anything.
Yeah.
And I'm using that as a segue because I have a really funny story to tell you, man. So
Okay.
I am.
Should we save it? Should we save it for next week?
I mean, we could.
Nah, fuck it. Let's do it.
I mean, we could.
Let's
but
do it. No, let's do it.
We can,
Let's hear it.
I'll tell you what. We'll tell this story and then we'll go to.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So
give it to me, baby.
we'll just play us on out on this one. So I go to the Goodwill, right, and I'm hanging out. I am in a double costume with a fellow employee at my work. We're going. She's really tall, so we're going as we both love the Golden Girls. So
that's
we're
good.
going as Sophia and Dorothy from the Golden Girls.
Of course.
She's really tall.
Yeah.
She's Dorothy.
Yeah.
I got a beard. I'm Sophia. So I play the old lady, right? So I got to dress like an old lady.
She's my favorite, Sophia.
I love Sophia too.
Yeah,
so I got
she's
a
the
big
best.
old white wig. I'm going to keep the beard. I've got a granny things that come down. I've got an old Halloween costume that we had laying around, actually, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It has fringes and sparkly sequins and stuff.
Yeah, all the stuff.
Oh, yeah, all the stuff.
Love
it's
it.
like a dress.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So
I
I'm
want
gonna wear
pictures.
I'm gonna wear flats.
Yeah, give us
hold
pictures.
on, man. I got a little demo test picture that I
Yeah,
sent to my
okay.
partner. I can
modeled
show
it?
you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, I can't wait
So,
to see this.
so the Golden Girls are big with. So there's a reason I'm holding a pie. So the
Okay.
Golden Girls are big with cheesecake.
Okay.
So I was trying to it's not cheesecake, but I made a coconut cream pie the other night.
Gotcha.
So I was like, here's some pie.
Okay.
So
all right.
here you go, bro.
Let me see. I wonder if we could. Oh yes. You look very surprised. in
Right.
this
Oh
picture.
yeah. Well, it was I'm supposed to be like I had a stroke, right? Because I'm Sophia. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was terrible.
That's pretty good.
So that's what I sent her. Yeah.
You either look like Sophia or a guy who doesn't remember why he just put his dick in the pie.
Yes. That's all I can say.
Oh, man.
Yes. So here, let's. I think I can show you guys. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, hold on. Let me pull the.
We got to get, we got to get the facial expression in there, though. That's the
There you
best
go.
part. Yeah, there it is for our video listeners.
Oh yeah. So you can see that. There you go. Check that out.
Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, all those.
All the
things.
places
All
that
those
you
things.
get. You can get any kind of podcast.
Oh, wait a minute,
from.
Scotty. I just realized I fucked up.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to stop that music. We're going to change our music.
Oh,
here.
we changing our. Doing the spooky music.
Yeah.
Spookily Ookly, it is our Halloween two-parter. Thanks to all of our Patreon patrons. We're going to keep the party going at patreon.com/theold77 podcast there for just a little bit. We didn't have anything last week. Apologies to that because of the
Shit
illness,
happens.
but shit happens.
Get over
That's why
it.
you get a mega episode.
Yeah.
We're going to do a big one coming up just right after this one. So
That's right, baby.
Enjoy.
See y'all next week.
Peace out. Bye, homies.
Biscuit had AIDS.
He fucking better, man, after not texting or calling.
Wait, it sounded like I said Biscuit had AIDS. I didn't say Biscuit has AIDS.